Good morning, everyone. You're watching Trade Australia. I'm your host, Lawrence Christoffelsz. Today's episode's all around support, government grants, funding, and how we can help you as importers, exporters, and service providers make sure you can navigate and get the most out of all the support that's being offered around Australia at the moment. So we've got a fantastic lineup of guests on today's show. Kicking off, we've got Josh Chye from HLB Mann Judd. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Hi, Lawrence. Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. Good to see you are safe and well, and beautiful painting behind you in Melbourne. Thanks, Josh. Josh, look, there's so many companies now who we hear on the news every day about the latest support that's been rolled out, whether it's through different industry bodies or different federal, state programs. There's even things like mental health. How do you, as HLB, sort of really try to keep all your clients up to date, and what's the best sort of things around at the moment that you can tell importers and exporters and service providers about?
Yeah, no problem. So it's been a bit of a journey, obviously, since March, and it's continuing. Especially, I'm personally based in Melbourne, and currently in the middle of the second lockdown. So with so much uncertainty, certainly at the start of the pandemic, there was a lot of immediate planning around. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? So just by way of background, HLB Mann Judd, we're an accounting firm with international reach. So a lot of our clients have a global presence, and predominantly sort of in private, large emerging private clients, 2 million to around 300 million. So it just means that through this period, we've had to work really closely with the business owners predominantly, just to understand, okay, well, how to plan predominantly from a cash flow point of view. And so our clients are generally pretty good at looking at their costs because they've built them up over time. But through this pandemic, the government's obviously poured a lot of money into the economy to help our clients. And so there's different things that we've been working with clients across, effectively cash flow management to best weather the storm. So you've got the big ticket items like the JobKeeper payment, and that sort of has come in to subsidize the cost of employees, which has been really good, $1,500 per fortnight if you're eligible, with a broadly 30% drop in revenue year on year. When that came in, there's obviously a lot of review around eligibility, but the good thing is the government has announced an extension for a further 6 months on that plan. So what I'm just trying to say is we're helping clients at the start plan for getting how to get support from the government on a short term, and the government incentives keep evolving. So you got the JobKeeper federal government grant, that's a big one. They also had a cash flow boost with businesses lodging activity statements, getting between typically $10,000 to $50,000 of support as well. And the state governments have also poured in a lot of money. So in the Victorian economy, you're looking at things like business support funds. So a lot of clients are getting $10,000 in this second lockdown if they're eligible for JobKeeper, for example. But you're looking at everything. So grants, taxes. So a lot of our clients were actually doing quite well, profitable. So they, on a prior year basis, would have tax liabilities if the business continued. But thankfully, the tax office has come in and given a lot of concessions to help with timing of income tax payments, GST payments. So again, helping clients with their cash flow modeling, working with ATO concessions to help put on payment plans or deferrals. And you're also just looking holistically at things like payroll tax, land tax relief. So you're looking at a whole bucket of things that we've sort of worked through with checklists for clients, just to effectively whatever's available, it's appropriate to go and get access to them, because it's really supporting jobs and surviving.
Yeah, it's a great summary, Josh. I appreciate that because it is so hard for people to keep up to date with all the latest offers and not offers as such, but support programs and subsidies. And as you talked about just there with the ATO payment plans. So it really does take a whole weight of stress off if they can talk to people such as yourselves and say, look, what am I entitled to? Who can I talk to? What's the best way to structure the business to not just get through the current situation, but reposition themselves for the relaunch if need be as well. So, what have you found that a lot more companies are taking up that sort of advice from you, or this? I'd imagine that you're sort of inundated with a lot of inquiries.
Yeah, obviously inundated, and what it's really meant, because these incentives have been almost adjusting daily at the start with clarity around the rules. The best thing to do was to really, in as much as we could, offer really real-time updates on the requirements, and just arming our clients with the data so that they can self-assess and then come back to us on specifics on how they can apply or any questions. So yeah, very quickly, I mean, things have changed so much, Lawrence. In 17 years, I was working in the CBD, and then all of a sudden in March, I'm working at home.
Yeah.
Haven't been in the office since mid-March, really. But it also meant that we've been able to filter out and provide information a lot quicker. So obviously everyone's doing webinars, updates, emails. So we're constantly just pushing out simple updates so clients can continue to understand what's available, what's evolving. And then we're just telling them, look, this is what's available if you're eligible, and go and apply it for yourself if you feel comfortable. But if you want us to help, obviously let us know, and then we'll help you as well. So accountants have been placed in, I guess, a big level of responsibility, especially now, not just to get the government grants, but funding. I know a bit off topic, but funding is also difficult from a lot of banks. And then our accountants are put with responsibility to help clients get the funding through lodging tax returns quicker, declaring appropriate income, so that the banks can provide more certainty on funding. So accountants have really become this almost intermediary between the tax office, the banks, to get a lot of relief to businesses. So we're doing our best, and the best thing that I've sort of learned is just get the information out as soon as possible. We've got a lot of smart clients, but if they want us to help, we can help.
Yeah, and I think one of the really big takeaways listening to you there, Josh, is I think it's really important for companies to be proactive and to get on top of things as soon as possible, because things like JobKeeper, JobSeeker, from what I understand, they're not retrospective, right? So if you missed out for a month or two, you essentially missed out on that support because you can't go back and claim that retrospectively.
So true. I've spoken to so many people in my network that really didn't pay close enough attention, and there's also a level of just not close enough attention, so they didn't apply when they really were eligible, and then you're spot on. Once you miss out, you really miss out. So the good thing with JobKeeper is, and it still is, we've still got clients entering into the system now because they may not have been eligible before, but they're eligible now. So just being continually across the eligibility requirements, that's something that we've worked with clients as well. You might not be eligible now, but just be aware you might be able to come in later.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Josh, for joining us this morning on the show, because it is going to be an increasingly important situation where people have to have, as you said, keep their books in order, be prepared as new support programs are launched, to work with you and your team to try and make sure they take advantage of that as quickly as possible and leverage the most.
Yeah, no problem. And if your audience, they're more than welcome just to go to our website, enroll for our updates. We've really got the systems now to keep everyone updated, so they're more than welcome to do that.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Josh. As you've heard there, reach out to Josh Chye, HLB Mann Judd. We'll have all the details on the post as well. But he's a wealth of expertise, and they really provide amazing service to look after you on a customized basis. So thanks again, Josh. Stay safe, and look forward to catching up sometime soon.
Thanks, Lawrence. Same to you, mate. Take care.
Take care. Cheers. Coming up after the break, we'll be joined by Lina Lamont from Expertise, and we'll talk about a whole range of export support programs as well. We'll see you straight after this break.
So, you'd like to sell your products in Australia? Well, Australia is unlike any other global market on Earth. Proper research and preparation is the key for success. You should at least consider in-depth market research and competitor analysis, partner profiling and matching, and a robust distribution and order fulfillment strategy. Your supply chain is critical. Warehousing, freight and transport costs can make or break your success. HLC can fast-track your Australian market entry success. We offer tailor-made programs to suit your business. Enter Australia the smarter way. Contact HLC today.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Trade Australia. I'm your host, Lawrence Christoffelsz, and today's show is all about support, funding and government grants to help you continue to grow your business and survive through this pandemic, I should say, not local. Now we're joined by Lina Lamont, who's a grants advisor from Export Solutions. Thanks so much for joining us, Lina.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, Lawrence.
Great. Lina, first of all, tell us about Export Solutions and a bit of the background and how, what you guys do.
Okay, so Export Solutions is an Australian-owned company. It's been around for nearly 20 years. We assist businesses to gain access to export markets, and the way we do that is through trade shows and also through the Export Market Development Grant. So right. Yeah, that's what we do.
Now, obviously, with international travel pretty much on hold and companies here in Melbourne, like you and I, things are locked down, so it's very difficult for companies to operate in the normal situation. But I also believe it's a really good time for companies to take stock, if you like, and think about their export strategy. Are you finding a bit of an increase of inquiries, or what's your current situation?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think the clients that we usually service, they're very busy exporting usually, and so this time of the year, it's rare for them to engage with us to assist them with the grants. But because of COVID-19, what's happened is businesses do have a lot of time to reflect. I mean, they are, especially tourism, it's been really challenging for the tourism industry, and so they're reassessing what their financial situations are, and they're looking for grants. They're looking for assistance from the government. And the good news is that the Export Market Development Grant is available to businesses that have spent over $15,000 in marketing, all sorts of expenses, which we'll go through in a little while. But I'm finding that businesses they're engaging with us at the moment because they do need that money. Their sales have just stopped. So
And I think it's been a really good, not a wake-up call, but a way that individuals and business owners, even export managers, can work on the business instead of in the business because of the forced lockdown and the domestic situation, as you said, with tourism. But even companies who have thought about exports now have had to fast-track that growth or strategy. So what sort of you mentioned, just touched on there about the grant itself. Could you give us a bit of an overview of the framework and how the eligibility works?
So basically, if you're an Australian company, you've got an ABN, you've spent more than $15,000 in these eligible categories, you're eligible to claim the grant. The grant, there's $157.9 million in the scheme, and it's available on a cash rebate basis, basically, yeah. And it is capped at $150,000.
Right. Okay. So
and the probably thing that I didn't mention is that it's 50% of your eligible expenses that can be rebated back in a cash rebate from Austrade.
Great. And I know it's a fairly broad broad umbrella when it comes to export marketing. So everything from websites to business cards to flyers, even translation services. As long as it's export related and export marketing related, there's an eligibility across that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So basically there's 8 categories you can claim from. So you can claim as an overseas representative, you can have a director or a company started in an overseas market, you can have marketing consultants, marketing visits, of course, when we're allowed to travel, that can be claimed, free samples, promotional advertising, which is your websites and promotional, as you mentioned, business cards, but mostly digital. That's what we see. It's happening now, a lot of digital expenditure that can be claimed, and as well as IP, registration of trademarks and IP, overseas buyers when they can get here, and that's the 8 categories that can be claimed.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that it sounds like, Lina, that for companies to really maximise their claim, they need to work with companies such as yourself, because they need to really almost navigate how they should have proper record keeping and all of the cost codes and things like that, so that they can maximise their claim and also put it in as quickly as possible when the eligibility opens up every year.
I mean, that's the advantage of partnering with a firm like ours. So what you do is you basically, you can work out your strategy. So for first-time applicants where you're at startups, they may not have spent so much in the first year. Austrade give you the advantage of actually combining 2 financial years into 1 year. So if you're a first-time applicant, looking at what your expenses are, looking at when you're particularly going to be spending that money, when you're going into market, and all that, we can talk about that and strategize the best time to put your application in. Also, the grants, the Export Market Development Grant, can be quite complex in some areas. So it's good to get advice about your expenditure before you spend it as well. That's kind of a good thing to do, because that way then you can go in prepared. Okay, well, there's a level of surety about that you will get some of this money back, and so it gives you confidence to go into that market. And I think that's an important thing that exporters are really looking for at the moment. Like, if they're going to spend money, they need to know that yes, some of this will be rebatable. And the Export Market Development Grant has been around for 41 years, and so a lot of these expenses, they're tried and true. That if you're eligible, these expenses are going to be be able to get 50% back for them. So it is important, as I said, to talk to experts to make sure that if you are going to be spending quite a lot of money, that there is a level of surety that you will get some of that back. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense, Lina. I think that as you said yourself, having the experts such as yourself really trying to navigate and preempt the way that they can properly spend that money and what the best chance of success in getting that claim back.
And I think also in this kind of climate, like people, businesses don't have a lot of money, and so they want to spend that money where it's most bang for their buck. And so there is a level, there's a level of risk involved when you are spending any money in export, because you don't know whether you're on the right track and you spend that money, whether it's going to come back but when all you can do is plan for those expenses. Go into market, before you go into market, get expert advice about the markets you're going into, the products that you've got, and all that information, that intel that's really important before you do spend money. And then once you do have that information, going into market is, you've got a much better chance of being successful, which businesses, like I said today, there is this uncertainty, and especially in Victoria, it's tough for a lot of businesses. So yeah, that's the benefit of the Export Market Development Grant.
Yeah, fantastic, Lina. I think that there's obviously a wealth of knowledge and advice that you can provide. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you at Export Solutions? Obviously, if you give us the website and the number.
Yeah, jump on our website, have a look. Have a flick through. We've just updated it, so I think it's looking really great. So get on the web pages and have a look at the different things that we offer in terms of the export grants and the trade shows when they do eventually come back up. There will be trade shows there that people can attend. But for money at the moment, just jump on and have a flick through what you can and can't claim. You can download a fact sheet from our website. Great. You can actually book a consultation and put a time in that you'd like to be contacted. That's all on the website, and we, as soon as you send us that consultation, we'll be in touch, and we'll see if we can help you with your inquiry.
Thanks so much, Lina. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show, and thanks for your expertise.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. Thank you very much for having me.
No, a great delight, and look forward to catching up hopefully sometime soon at one of our events.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. See you. Bye.
So just heard from Lina Lamont from Export Solutions. As she mentioned, check out their website. They've got some fact sheets you can download. You can book an appointment and really work out the best way to claim the most out of the EMDG program. Coming up after the break, we're joined in studio by Ben Cusack from Bulletpoint. So great to catch up with Ben. We'll be joined with him very soon.
Now is the time to reduce costs and get better service from your logistics partners. We go to market for you. We do all the work, you make all the decisions. First, we review your requirements, customized to your business. Then, we design your tender documents, RFQ and submission templates. Next, we put it out to market, to suitable service providers only. We analyse and score the submissions using a weighted scorecard. We shortlist the best candidates specifically matched to your needs. We invite presentations from the candidates. They compete for your business. You select and enjoy the benefits, including KPIs and SLAs. We offer fixed price programs starting from as little as $5,000. When did you last compare your service providers? Contact us today at the Australian Trade and Logistics Corporation.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Trade Australia show. Today's all about support programs, government grants to help you all, I should say, to navigate and grow in international trade and export markets as well. So now we're joined in studio by Ben Cusack from Bulletpoint. Good to see you again, Ben.
Good to see you too. And can I just say, I love the glasses and tie combo.
Oh yeah, not many people pick up on that.
No, it looks awesome.
I've got interchangeable arms, so I try to mix and match it. Got to stay up with the trends.
Good.
Or create some trends. But mate, always good to see you, and especially now with so many grants being thrown around and governments and state, city of Melbourne, federal, a whole range of things to navigate all that stuff. It's a minefield, and you're up to date. That's your baby. That's what you do for a living. How do you go about? Tell us about Bulletpoint first, just for the audience, and that way we'll tease in a bit more about some of the specific stuff.
Yeah, so I've got a grants researcher that goes and looks at all the grants that are available. We put on things called change detection or keyword Google keyword alerts, and then we pull that together, put it on the website, bulletpoint.com.au.
Yep.
And there's a free newsletter that comes out every week, so you can see for free what grants have come out in that week.
Yeah, great. And I'd imagine over the last couple of months that they're just probably going off the charts with different ones coming off in different states, different industries, as I said, different municipalities even.
That's right. So the main ones to have a look at are the state-based, COVID response grants. So it's generally around the sort of the 5 to 10 grand grants that are available, but they're only available for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So some people have missed out on those grants.
Yeah.
The Victorian government has brought out new ones again, another $5,000, so that's still available.
Yeah.
And as of I think yesterday or the day before, the City of Melbourne have brought out another $5,000 grants to apply for. So competitive, and that's only available for 2 weeks. So you have to know that it's around to be able to go for it.
And that's a really important point, Ben, because what you offer is that timeliness. But the other thing that I really admire about the way you package up your applications for your clients is that, for anyone to submit to a grant, it can be quite daunting to look at the paperwork or the website submission, but that's your forte. I mean, you know how to put it in the right way and the best way.
What I start with is, what would the government announce about your project? What is the top line? Or what's the innovative feature? What's the key thing that they want to tell about you? What is that one-page summary? Yeah. Start with that first, and then fill it out with all the other information. Yeah,
yeah. So really tell the story and the whole value proposition of the submission.
And another approach I take is, think about another company. What would another company look like, or who would be the best company you think would get that grant? Yeah. And try to look like that.
Yeah. The other good thing, Ben, is that, you cover all types of grants across all markets here in Australia as well. So I think by having a client of yours, you get to show them that whole plethora of opportunities. We had Lina on the show, and they specialise in EMDG, and that's their forte. They're all export stuff. But you look at everything from R&D to the City of Melbourne stuff or business continuity. And I'm guessing that as we re-emerge out of this COVID situation, there's going to be a lot more government stimulus going to take place over the coming years. So it's really more important to stay close to you and find out what's around.
Yeah, so the moment the government is more around job protection. So we're trying to keep people in jobs.
Yep.
We'll see in sort of 6, 12, 24 months, it's about job growth.
Yep.
So what are the growing industries that they can stimulate to take on the excess jobs that the people want to grow?
Yeah. So how do you typically work with a client? Do you sort of find out a bit more about their business first and say, look, I think there's about these type of grants will fit, or do you sort of tease out what their aspirations are about where they want their business to be? How do you normally engage?
So the way people normally engage with me is that they come to my website. There's a quiz they can fill out. And really is, what have you done in the past? That's what I need to know about. It says a lot of rebates like the R&D and export grants. And then I need to know a little bit about what they want to do. So the government fund projects not necessarily companies.
Right.
So do they want to build a new factory? Do they want to go overseas? Do they want to commercialise a product?
Yeah.
And then I can see if that aligns with some of the government incentives that are out there.
Yeah, fantastic. So how long have you been doing Bulletpoint?
I've been doing it about 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I think I remember when you first started and you just went out on your own and you've gone from strength to strength. So
it's been good. So my trick has been just to follow the money first.
yeah.
So work with the money and then work backwards to find the companies to help them out there.
Fantastic, great. What tips and advice would you give them, Ben, about, obviously to come and see you, but how do they prepare themselves? We had Josh on the show earlier and talking about making sure their books are in order and all their tax stuff's cleaned up, because that obviously helps with their submission as well.
Yeah, so the people want to wait for the grant to come out to know what to put in there. I tell them 90% of it I can guess now. So it's really working out who you are, what you've done, why are you believable, how are you any good, and then what do you want to do. So work out what that project is going to be. So get the cost together, get the scope together, what are the outputs, and then see how it aligns to some of the government incentives that are out there now. And prepare that information now, because that can take a number of months to prepare that information.
True. And time's of the essence, as you said, especially more so now. I think they are going to have short, sharp windows of grant eligibility just to try and make sure that people will jump on it.
Normally the government gives 6 weeks for grants. Most people find out after 2 weeks has already elapsed, and then they spend another 2 weeks trying to get organised, and then they've got 2 weeks to write it. So I was approached by a company 2 days ago, and they said the grant's due on Friday. We've only just started. So that happens all the time. Companies just don't know that they're out there.
Yeah, true. All right, that's great. So I think, as you said, the best way is to jump onto the Bulletpoint website, and they fill out that questionnaire first and foremost, and then you follow up with all those customised inquiries, if you like. What do you see the future of the grants? Do you see anything that from a wish list perspective? Where do you see the government could help the most?
Well, we've seen in the past that the government looked at, when the automotive sector went into decline, they invested in other manufacturing industries that then took off. So we've seen I think we see manufacturing still growing. They're still doing okay. But where we're seeing a decline is in the retail and hospitality. So and customers. So they're the sorts of industries that are suffering. How they transition that into maybe another industry, another growing industry. That's where it might have to be. So people might have to think about changing industries. The government like to invest into capital, so manufacturing equipment, because that equals a job.
True.
So people might have to think about changing industries or diversifying a bit.
Yeah, it's great advice, and I think especially with companies who have experienced a bit of global supply chain pain, where they couldn't get products, or they've had problems with even exporting stuff, that companies all around the world, not just here in Australia, are looking back to take back control, look at some value add or processing, or even the manufacturing process in-house. Yeah,
I think import replacement will be a big one.
Yeah, great. Well, always good to see you, mate. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks for coming in studio, and appreciate you looking so safe and well, so good to catch up. And as we said, reach out to Ben, check out bulletpoint.com. He's got a whole range of answers there for you, and you'll help navigate everything that's around and increasingly coming out.
Cheers.
Thanks, Ben. So there you have it. You heard from Ben from Bulletpoint. He's got the whole plethora of grants available, so he'll really find out and tease out what the best grants are available for you. So check them out and you won't regret it. So hopefully you've found out a lot of information today from today's episode. There's a whole range of experts such as Ben and others who can help you get the most out of the current support programs, grants, and they're only going to get more available and probably a little bit more complicated as well. So reach out to experts and they'll help you get the most out of it. So take care, stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Cheers.